News Talk 94.5 WPTI, 96.7 FM WTOB. And you're listening to The Wealth Guardians with Doug Ray, helping you to retire the job and keep that paycheck. I'm your host, Doug Ray, and with me is Brice Payne. Today, we're going to talk about the most expensive bill you'll ever have in retirement. So stay tuned for that. Morning, Brice. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Doug. How are you? Good morning.
I can't complain. I'm over my cold. I feel good.
Excellent. Glad to hear that. Good to see you up here. And Garrett's still away studying for some licenses. So, Garrett, if you're out there, we're thinking of you here in the studios. And what do we, Doug? What are we talking about this week here?
Well, we're going to be talking about taxes, of course, and that's obviously a segue into our next start of our fall workshop season. We're doing taxes in retirement. That is coming up on Thursday, September the 8th, and then Tuesday, September the 13th at 6:30 in the Broyhill. I'll tell you in a little bit how you can sign up for that, but it should be interesting. We've got, the so-called Inflation Reduction Act. We talked about that last week on the show. We'll get more into detail in our workshop about it, but taxes are going to be a very important part of your retirement.
And therefore an important part of your retirement planning. Well, we'll go ahead and talk about that, but before we do, Doug, let's go ahead and get to our Wealth Guardian Service Salute. As you know, every week we're honored to thank our military and our first responders and their families for their sacrifice in serving our community and making our safety and freedom their mission. And each week we try to salute a specific individual. And if you know of someone out there that we should be recognizing here on the Wealth Guardians Service Salute on our weekend morning, just email our team at salute@thewealthguardians, and we will be in touch. This week we don't have a specific member to salute. So, Doug, we're going to salute everybody out there who has put on the uniform, whether it's the Navy uniform, the Marines, the Air Force, the Army, their families, first responders, all of them.
Yeah, absolutely. We always try to honor all of those folks. And again, if you want to honor your loved one, let us know who it is, and we'll get in touch with you.
Salute@thewealthguardians is our email.
Yep.
All right. Well, Doug, let's go ahead and get started. You tease this as the most expensive bill that you're going to have in retirement. I'm intrigued. Let's talk about it.
Most people think that when they retire, one of the biggest bills they're going to ever face is that cruise to Alaska. And it's a big one.
It's not cheap.
It's not cheap at all, but that's not your biggest bill you're going to face. When you and I first got into this business, it was thought that we would pay less in taxes in retirement because we weren't working anymore.
Right.
Well, that whole dynamic is changing for a lot of reasons. Number one, taxes are most likely going to go up. We know this current tax code will sunset the beginning of 26, and depending upon what Congress does, it'll revert back to what it was.
Right.
With a $30+ trillion debt and more to be added on top of that. My conclusion is taxes are going to be going up instead of down.
I think that's most people when we survey that amongst our clients and people that we sit down with, and I think that's pretty much a consensus, is that they believe taxes are going to be going up.
So let me give you a little, maybe a shocking reality here, and a good reason to sign up for our workshop.
You ran some numbers.
Okay, I did. I ran some numbers.
I love this.
So let's say you're 65 years old, you're retired, you have $500,000, $500,000 in your IRA or your 401k. Now let's make some assumptions. Let's say you live to 90.
Okay.
Let's say that you make 5% on average on your IRA.
Okay.
And that your total taxes are 25%, 20% federal and 5% state.
Okay.
And all you ever do is take your required minimum distribution, which starts at 72, because you've got other resources and you've been, planned well and you're frugal and that kind of thing.
Okay.
So out of a $500,000 IRA, if you live to 90...
Let's pose it as a question.
Yep.
To them.
How much do you think you will pay in taxes over your lifetime? And I'm talking about the tax on the RMD, and then, of course, what's left over, the beneficiary has to pay tax on that.
So how much is that? 500. I'm going to repeat all this. So we've got a 65-year-old saved $500,000 in an IRA, pre-tax monies, qualified monies there. All they are doing is taking out RMDs from this IRA from age 72 to age 90, and we assume that it has grown from age 62 to age 90 at 5% a year. Basic assumptions there. Your question is, how much was this original $500,000 taxed from that age, well, not really age 65, to age 72 to 90 after the owner passed away? So that's the question. Think about it out there for a second. How much taxes will be paid ultimately on that original $500,000? This is the answer. Doug's got the answer here.
The total tax, so folks, hold on to your seat. The total tax bill on a $500,000 IRA or 401k is going to be $525,000.
So now that's going to confuse a lot of people, because they're saying, how on earth, if it's only worth $500,000, how on earth is there $525,000 in taxes? Well, it was $500,000 original value at age 65. Obviously, with a 5% compounding interest return, it's grown a lot more than that $500,000. But still, I would imagine most of you out there were thinking, oh, somewhere around 50,000, 100,000, something like this.
Yeah.
It's actually more than the original 500,000 we started off with.
Now, do you want another shock to your system?
Oh, don't we? Yes, of course we do.
If you come to the workshop, I'm going to show you how you can dramatically change this. There is a technique that instead of paying $525,000 in taxes, and oh, by the way, what your beneficiary will get out of that $500,000 IRA is about $179,000 after all those taxes are paid. So I will show you a way at the workshop that you'll pay a total of $125,000 in taxes versus $525,000 in taxes, and you will leave $1,269,000 tax-free to your beneficiary.
Sounds like a little better deal, that one.
I like that.
Yes.
All right, folks, that's Thursday, September the 8th at 6:30 in the Broyhill in Clemens. Tuesday, September the 13th, same place, same time. All you have to do is call us at 336-391-3409 or go to thewealthguardians.com. Go to the event tab, and you can register right there.
And if you're not able to attend our taxes and retirement seminar, we would still love the opportunity to sit down with you if you're approaching retirement. Maybe you want the best for your retirement, and you're thinking, hey, I look forward, I'm going to retire here in a few years, or maybe you just retired, and you'd like to sit down with us, but simply these dates don't work for you. That's okay, too. You can reach out to us at the phone number that Doug said, 336-391-3409. You can also visit us on our website, thewealthguardians.com. You can see the other events that we've got coming up, but you can also just reach out to us and schedule a time to sit down with us. We are fiduciaries, we're financial planners, and we're retirement specialists. And we're located in Clemens, North Carolina. We serve all of the Triad. We serve Charlotte as well. And that's what Doug and I and Garrett do, is we help people make the best decisions, financially speaking, for their retirement so that they're not flying blind. And, of course, we want to help you retire the job and keep the paycheck. And, Doug, we've done this taxes in retirement seminar before, and it's always gotten a good response.
It has. We've changed it up. We fine-tuned it. I got some more detail in the workshop. So if you've been to it in the past, you might want to come to this one. Again, we're looking at what this Inflation Reduction Act does. There's some surprises in that, too. You know, taxes are insidious. I mean, people don't see them because they typically have them taken out of their paycheck, or when they get their distributions from their IRAs and 401ks, they have taxes withheld. And that little bit that just bites and bites and bites and bites over time adds up.
And, if you have tried to plan for retirement yourself, that's great. We encourage that. But you still want to have it reviewed by a professional. And, Doug, I would say that when the people come to us and they want a second opinion on their retirement plan that they put together for themselves, one of the things that they have most often overlooked is taxes in retirement. And that if you've only planned for 18% in taxes and you're really paying 22% in taxes, that makes a huge difference. All right. Well, I think it's time, Doug. We got to go to break here. And what do we always do before break?
You stump me.
I stump you with a trivia question. Let's get to it. Doug, you ready?
Go ahead.
All right. Doug, on August 26, 1920, think back to that time. Where were you at that time? August 26, 1920, the 19th Amendment to the Constitution took effect. The amendment was first introduced in Congress 42 years earlier in 1870. You thought Congress was slow today. It took 42 years from when it was originally introduced in Congress to actually taking effect as the 19th Amendment. It was introduced in 1878 by Senator Aaron A. Sargent. Doug, when we come back from the break, I want to hear, what is the 19th Amendment?
Okay.
All right. This is Brice Payne. With me is Doug Ray. The show is The Wealth Guardians, helping you retire the job and keep the paycheck. And this is News Talk 94.5 WPTI. And this is 96.7 FM WTOB. News Talk 94.5 WPTI. 96.7 FM WTOB. You're listening to The Wealth Guardians with Doug Ray, helping you retire the job and keep the paycheck. I'm Brice Payne, along with Doug Ray. And in this segment, we are talking about planning for retirement uncertainties. Doug, there's always things that we can rely on in retirement, and there's always things that we have to make assumptions for in retirement. And that's what we're going to be talking about here in our second segment. So thank you for sticking around with us through the break. And we're going to get to our trivia question here in just a moment, but before we do that, I've got a question for you. Are you looking forward to retirement? Okay, I'm going to hope that you just said yes to that. Do you want to confirm that you're making the best decision for your retirement? I'm really hoping you said yes to that. Well, I've got good news for you. We here at the Wealth Guardians, we offer a no-cost, no-obligation second opinion review of your retirement portfolio, and we can see if we can help you retire the job while keeping the paycheck. Best of all worlds there. But you got to pick up the phone and give us a call. It's 336-391-3409. 336-391-3409. We're financial planners, we're retirement specialists, and we are fiduciaries acting in our clients' best interests. One more time, 336-391-3409. Now, Doug, you ready for the trivia question?
Let's try it.
All right. Let's see if we stump Doug this week. Doug, on August 26, 1920, the 19th Amendment to the Constitution took effect. The amendment was first introduced in Congress 42 years earlier in 1878 by Senator Aaron A. Sargent. The question is simple, Doug. What is the 19th Amendment? Now, there were a lot of things that were going on at this particular time. There were a couple of amendments that were going on. This is not the evil amendment that we all remember that was repealed a few years later. So I'm not talking about that one.
I knew that.
Okay. Then what amendment is the 19th Amendment?
Here's my best guess.
Okay.
I think this was the one that finally let the ladies of our country vote. Man, I haven't heard that bell in a lot of weeks.
I was surprised it still worked on here. Thought I might have to dust it off there. Yes, that is absolutely correct. The women's suffrage. Now, women were allowed to vote in some states in local and state elections, but they were not allowed to vote in the federal elections, or in the national elections. So in 1878 was when it was originally introduced. Finally, in 1920, Congress got off its rear end and allowed women the right to vote, and they're still voting today. And so, women, congratulations on sticking it through that. What was that? 50 years it took for that to...
It's amazing,
My goodness gracious. All right. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. And if you got it right out there, congratulations to you as well. All right, Doug. Planning for retirement's uncertainties is what we're going to talk about in the second segment. I have come to find that when we are doing planning for our clients, we have to take a look at certain things. We have to take a look at their risk tolerance. If we're going to build out a retirement plan for them, it has to be based on whatever their risk tolerance is. That's one thing that we have to consider. We have to know how much income is coming into somebody in retirement. And that income could be by way of maybe you're not fully retired, you're partially retired, maybe you're retired but your wife isn't. So there's going to be some forms of income possibly in retirement. How long is that going to last? Is there any kind of adjustment to that with inflation going on? We have to understand what their expenses are in retirement. Do they have passive income as well? Are they landlords, that kind of thing? What are they getting in Social Security? What are they getting in pensions? And then we have to look at the assets that they've already collected. So those things are the knowns. But then there's a lot of unknowns that we have to plan for as well. And this here is a list of the unknowns that we have to make assumptions about. And I like this list. You found this, but I like it. We actually did a little something like this at the end of some of our slideshows that we do when we do our seminars. But Doug, let's talk about these. Life expectancy.
And before we get into this, I just want to go ahead and add, you know, Brice, as we do this planning through all of these different steps, our planning process is purposely on the conservative side.
Yes.
Because if we make an error, we want to make sure we make the error on the conservative side. So we got plenty of expandability and flexibility in the plan.
Exactly. So let's talk about these and talk about how we plan for them. So the first one is life expectancy, Doug.
Yeah, you know, our planning process takes your age out to 100. Now, when I tell people that the first time, I either get a snicker or an outright belly laugh because they say, "Oh, I'll never make it that long." Well, you know, you might not, but I sure want to see your retirement, your dollars last longer than you do. And if we get you to age 100 and you still got money left in the bank, then I think we've covered 95% of the probability.
I agree completely. So we do get a lot of people who look at that forecast of the size of their nest egg going from age 65 to 70 to 75 all the way through 100, and they will laugh at that and say, "Oh, I'm never going to live to be 100," just like you said. Mm-hmm. Well, you look at whatever age you want to then. If you don't like 100, look at age. If we had money left at age 100, then we certainly had money left at age 95, 90, 85. So you look at whatever number you want to. But so we err on the conservative side by assuming that you're going to live longer than what you might likely live. What's our other option? Assuming that you're going to not live as long, right. And we might be wrong on that one. So that's exactly us erring on the side of on the conservative side of things. The next one is interest rates.
And the changes thereof. And boy, we're seeing that right now, aren't we?
We are indeed, yep.
Fed's increase in interest rates. That means the rates that are charged for mortgages, for automobiles, for everything out there is going up, and you have to account for that. You know, ideally, I'd love to see everybody come in no debt at all, but that doesn't happen all the time.
No.
Those folks that go into retirement with no debt, you've done a really good job. But, you know, not everybody can do that. But interest rate changes definitely will affect your retirement plan. And what you want to do is to make sure you don't have much debt that's variable debt. You know, personal loans are variable debt. Mm-hmm. Adjustable rate mortgages, that's a variable debt. If you got to have debt, you know, you want it fixed, like in a fixed rate mortgage or something like that, or a fixed rate car rate. Because honestly, we're sitting here, we don't know how high these interest rates are going to go. I mean, we've got a terrible inflation problem right now. I've always been taught back in B school that in order to knock inflation down, the overall interest rate's got to be higher than the inflation rate. Inflation's at what, 9-point-something%?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're not at 9-point-something% on the Fed funds rate yet.
No, we're not. No.
Not even close.
And as far as those interest rates going up, the largest increases that we've had combined in just the last couple of months, we've gone up 150 basis points, Doug, just in the last couple of months.
Yes.
It's 0.75% times two increases that we had. Those are huge increases in and of themselves, but to do two within a few weeks of each other,
And we're looking at another one next month.
We are indeed. Okay. So that's something else that we have to plan for. And again, something that somebody, if they've done their own retirement planning, might have never thought to factor in interest rate changes in looking at their how their nest egg is going to last them through retirement. The next one, Doug.
The next one is future tax rates. Now, that is an open-ended question.
It is.
You know, I love to ask, every time we do a talk or a workshop, I always throw the question out to the audience. I say, do you think taxes will be higher in your future than they are now? And I don't ever have anybody tell me they're going to be lower. I mean, almost the whole house raises their hand, yeah, they're going to be higher. And I totally agree with you. If you listen to the first segment, you know, we talked about this a little bit. Then I gave you a shocker about how much you'll pay in taxes on your IRA and your 401k over your lifetime. But we do have to plan a retirement plan for higher taxes. That's why you start now figuring out how to lessen the taxes on those IRAs and 401ks. I like to call it paying the tax on the seed.
And not the harvest.
And not the harvest. Exactly right.
Yep. And Doug, we have one of the seminars that we've got coming up here just in a few weeks is about this exact topic. Tell us about our seminar coming up.
Yeah, we're starting our fall workshop series out, and it's going to be taxes in retirement. We're going to cover, this Inflation Reduction Act in pretty good detail. Because that's definitely going to affect your taxes, and we'll go into other things like RMDs and how to limit those situations. RMDs, of course, your required minimum distribution out of your IRA and your 401k now at age 72. So write these dates down. Thursday, September the 8th. Tuesday, September the 13th. Both nights at 6:30. Both in the auditorium of the Clemens, the Broyhill office and conference center. And you can call us to register, 336-391-3409. Or you can go on our website, thewealthguardians.com. The events tab is right there in the middle. You just hit that, and you can register online. You'll need to register. These workshops usually are fairly popular, and we get a good turnout for most of them, so please register. I think you're going to see some eye-opening examples of taxes that you're going to face in retirement. If you are around for the first segment, I told you that taxes are going to be the highest bill you're going to face in retirement. It's not going to be that cruise to Alaska.
All right, very good. So as Doug said there, Thursday, September 8th, Tuesday, September 13th at 6:30 p.m. There is no cost to attend the seminar, but you do have to register, so we know we've got a seat waiting for you. 336-391-3409. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to The Wealth Guardians, and we're talking about planning for retirement uncertainties. So, Doug, we went through life expectancy, interest rate changes, future tax rates. The next one is year-to-year stock market returns. Mm-hmm.
This one I want to emphasize. I think people need to get a grip on reality. You know, everybody's heard the stock market averages 10% a year. Well, it does.
9% something, yeah.
Yeah, with dividends. And it does over a 75-year period of time.
Right.
But let me tell you what happens in that 75-year period of time. You're going to have decades where you have performances that are higher than 9%, and you're going to have decades where you have performances under 9%. Now, what have we been experiencing since the 2008 Great Recession?
Pretty steady climb.
Pretty steady climb with over and above average annual rates of return.
Well into the double digits.
The next 10 years, you need to be realistic and believe that we're probably not going to see that 9 and 10% return. We may only ink out 4 and 5% returns with some pretty nasty bear markets in between. So that's why planning for really difficult times is extremely important for you if you're about to retire, or even if you're retired already. You need to plan for bad times ahead, and that's what we do. We build a plan for you that is going to be, well, it's not, I can't say bulletproof, but it sure
Right.
does keep you from, let's say you're insulated quite a bit.
And you say something frequently, Doug. What got you to retirement is not necessarily what's going to get you through retirement. And that's a good way to summarize that right there. And you know what? What got you to this weekend day is not necessarily what's going to get you through your weekend day. We do thank you for tuning in and listening to us. We hope we'll see you again here next weekend. But Doug, we're out of time. Thank you for joining us, and thank you out there for joining us as well. This is Brice Payne. With me is Doug Ray. The show is The Wealth Guardians, helping you retire the job and keep the paycheck. And this is News Talk 94.5 WPTI. And this is 96.7 FM WTOB.